sim racing chassis provided by Next Level Racing. Check them out at nextlevelracing.com.
Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm John Sable alongside Darren Ganji, and today we're reviewing the Fanatec CSL steering wheel P1 for the Xbox One, because that's a long name.
You get all the long names.
Exactly. So this is the latest product from Fanatec, and it's the beginning of a more entry-level CSL line. The rim is available at fanatec.com, and it retails for $139.95 or €149.95. And the difference between those costs is in Europe, the VAT is included, where in the US, we pay for taxes later. The CSL rim can currently be used on the Club Sport V1 and V2 bases, and will eventually be compatible with the CSL base.
Yeah, which is like an entry level, we think.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet.
No, we haven't seen it, but he has talked about it. Thomas at Fanatec. I've seen like reference to it on the blogs and on his blog and stuff like that, so it's going to be compatible with that too.
And as far as compatibility goes on the PC and console, it is compatible with the PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and as the name suggests, the Xbox One.
It's got a 30 centimeter or 11.8 inch diameter rim, weighs 1170 grams, which is about half the weight of the universal hub and rim combo. It's got plastic casing with brushed aluminum front plate, a rubber wrapped rim, new illuminated Reb Stripe with integrated LED display for telemetry and tuning options. It's got 12 action buttons, including the Xbox menu and a multi-directional pad.
Now that we've gone over some of the specs, let's go ahead and get to the pros and cons. First up, the pros. The first pro is it's affordable. It's low weight, has a 30 centimeter diameter.
It's got the tuning and telemetry LED and a quick release system. And now on to the cons. It's got a hard rubber rim. And the final con is the Reb Stripe light location, and it's a little bit on the dim side. So now we're going to get into some final thoughts, and first of all, the initial, or the feel of the rim. And initially when I first unboxed this on the live show, I thought this rim was plastic, or this wrap was plastic. It's so hard, but it's like a hard rubber.
Yeah, and would have liked for that to have been a little softer, because like I don't mind rubber wraps. Like I think that the wrap on the T300 rim for Thrustmaster is really nice, but this is definitely quite a bit harder. So that would have been nice if that was a little bit softer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
On the pro side of the rim, though, is that it's a 30 centimeter diameter.
Yeah, I like that too.
Which I think is kind of the perfect size.
Yep.
Because it's not too big, not too small, and I think that works out really well. And that was a really good design choice.
The buttons, I think they're good. I definitely like the smooth finish on buttons, and they've got a nice press to them. The paddle shifters, they're a little softer than I would like. And when I say softer, they just don't have the positive click that some do. Like even their CSR, their original CSR base had a really, and I just felt it. I have one back in the closet. And it's got a really solid click to it. And these don't have that. They work great.
Yeah, I found in use, I felt like they were fine, but I will say before putting it on, actually using it, I was a little disappointed by just the lack of, is it clickiness?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then this quick release, when we first looked at it, we were like, huh, that's something different.
Yeah.
And anyway, since I just pulled it out, you have to, once you have this in place, you basically snap this down and then you screw it into the hub, the existing hub on the CSW. And then it snugs in fine. I mean, I don't have any problems with it. I think this thing works great.
No, it does. It works great, and I was a little worried about some of the plastic pieces here, but no, worked well. It's very similar, kind of like the Thrustmaster system, where you got to go and have a screwdriver with you, or in this case, an Allen wrench. But no, it goes really fast. In some cases, kind of like how we complained, the quick release on the Universal Hub, in some ways, this can be almost faster.
Yeah, you know what, too? What is interesting about that, so we made that a con when we reviewed the CSW, that it had the whole automotive quick release system, and that we would have liked them to save some money. And no offense, Thomas, but you emailed me about this and said that a lot of your users like that. And then you went with this, which we think is great. It works great and does the job, and we feel like it helps keep the cost down. I mean, imagine if you had that other piece of the quick release mechanism. I bet that would have raised the price on this thing $20 to $40.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I know quick releases go from $60 to $100.
Well, at least, and then you go from a plastic casing to metallic.
Yeah.
And it gets a lot more expensive. No, this gets the job done.
It does. Another cool thing about this tells me that CSL base is going to have potentially other rims that you can adapt to it.
Yes.
So that's going to be really cool to see. So what else we want to talk about? Force feedback, how the force feedback translates through this lighter rim.
Yeah, I jumped back and forth between this rim and the universal hub for the Xbox One with the Forza rim on it. And I did feel like I was feeling a little bit more force feedback through this wheel because it is pretty much about half the weight.
Between the quick release, everything combined, the bigger rims, I think it just translates the forces better.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say go out and buy this over that just
No.
because of that, because it's a slight difference, but you do feel it.
Yes, you do. So let's talk about the Reb Stripe, which I thought was a cool idea, but the only title that we got it to work with currently was Project Cars.
Yes,
And that was on the PC.
correct.
Project Cars didn't have implementation for this rim yet on the Xbox One, and maybe it was the way that Project Cars coded it, but it went from green to yellow to pink when you're at the rev limit.
Yes.
And there is, when you do the light cycle in the driver, it does cycle to red, so I don't know if they just programmed it wrong, but it's not the easiest to see though either.
No.
I mean, honestly, anything that's on a rim, you're not really looking at the rim while you're driving. You have to look down at it. I do like the rev light, or the shift, or the gear indicator,
Yep.
which is shown right here. And you can look down at that briefly. And then you got your whole tuning menu functionality in here. You push the little wrench button, and then you can map through it with the directional stick. I saw in your notes you thought this was a little flimsy.
Yeah, I thought it was
The directional stick.
I thought the D-pad was a little flimsy when first started, but in use, it actually was fairly positive as far as finding the correct up, down, side to side.
Yep.
So yeah, kind of like the rest of the buttons, where initial impression you're kind of like it's okay, but in use, I thought it went well. But yeah, back to the Reb Stripe, I totally agree that I would have liked it to move down a little more on the rim because it's very difficult to see up here on top. And then the colors just weren't bright enough. Really, the only color that really got me was either green or the actual red. It was kind of like you said, that pinkish, purplish red. And that just it wasn't bright enough to catch my eyes out of my peripheral vision while I'm driving. So yeah, it's an interesting idea, but would have liked for it to be a little brighter, a little more easier to see.
So this is a cool option for the Club Sport base. I think it's better suited towards that new CSL base that's coming though. Because basically a full package with this rim, the CSW V2 base, and the cheaper CSL pedals, you're looking at it's right around $850. Versus, we don't know what the pricing is going to be on that other base. I'm guessing around $200. So that would put you around the 3-something range. So honestly, it's a good rim and it does the job. But again, I think this is geared more towards the CSL versus the CSW where, that's a high-end base. It deserves a high-end rim.
Yeah.
That Forza rim that we have for it with the Xbox One hub, that thing's friggin' awesome. It is expensive, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I was go and spend $600 on a base, could I go and then put this rim on here? Sure, it would get the job done, but for when you've already spent $600, kind of what's another $260 to go from this to the universal hub?
Yeah.
And also have the option of changing out rims and whatnot.
I think what this would be good for is, let's say somebody that owns a CSW1 or bought a V2 a while ago, owns the other hub,
Yes.
the other universal hub, but wants to dabble on the Xbox One, and they don't want to spend another, you know, $300 for
Yes.
the Xbox One hub. You can spend less than half the price if you just want to do some Xbox One racing. I think for that person, it's a perfect buy.
Yes, I agree.
But just starting out with the base, I mean, you might as well pop for the extra $250 and get the super sporty, you know, the Forza rim that we have with the leather. That's one of my favorite rims. I know something else we needed to talk about, the firmware.
Ah, yes.
So when you first plug this, just a heads up, if you buy this rim and you plug it in and it doesn't work, which is what happened to us, I was like, oh man, is this thing defective? What's going on? I even took it out, plugged it back in, made sure none of the pins were bent, and then I thought, I wonder if the base needs a firmware update. Sure enough, you need to have firmware 139 or above. I think we have 143 was the most current, or it does not recognize this rim.
Yes.
So that's a little heads up for you. And if you're on the Xbox One, that could be a con. But honestly, I think if you know, we've said this before. If you're getting this base, you should be PC racing. So you're gonna need a PC to update that firmware. And if you don't have one, you're gonna need to find somebody that does, because you can't do it through your Xbox One. So it could be a con, but a lot of the other manufacturers have the same situation right now. Thrustmaster, you need to do the firmware update to run the shifter and stuff, and you can only do it on the PC. So anyway, just a heads up for you. You get this rim and it doesn't work, make sure you have 139 firmware above. And the only way to figure that out is if you go on the... Actually, I think there's a way to bring the firmware up in the tuning menu, but the tuning menu won't work if you don't have version 139 or above.
Exactly.
So when you plug it in, it automatically reads as an Xbox One rim. You don't have to, change settings. You have to do a couple of button pushes to get it into PC or PS4 mode.
Yes.
But anyway, I think that's the only thing that we didn't mention, and we should have.
Yep.
So that's gonna wrap it up.
So thanks for watching our review of the CSL P1 rim from Fanatec. For Darren Ganji, I'm John Sable. Thanks for watching Inside Sim Racing. See you guys next time.
For plastic, it is such a hard wrap.
Oh.
Let's-
Darn. That was fun.
well, we could
Maybe a gag reel at the end.
yeah.